This is Path of the Brush. Let's paint. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the next episode, or the newest episode of Path of the Brush. I'm getting some echo. Okay. Anyways, I'm really excited for today's episode. We've got a special guest. It is our friend Aaron, Rollacrit, which company of Gen Con, and he'll be painting some really cool miniatures from his Heroes of Arcadia game, and I'm going to be looking at some terrain from the new Star Wars Shatterpoint. So it should be a lot of fun. Yeah. And yeah, pretty excited for it. Hold on. All right, hold on. This is going to drive me nuts. I don't know what it is. I'm hearing myself twice.
You hear me twice.
No, I don't hear you twice. You sound great.
Yeah, it's my amazing dungeon studio I have going on here.
Oh, I love your studio, by the way. By the way, this is Aaron, everybody. Welcome, Aaron. And yeah, this is going to drive me nuts. Anyways, Aaron, really excited
to do it live.
Yeah. Sorry for everybody watching. We apologize for this. This is one of those fun technicalities that we didn't have in the beginning. But it's all part of being a live streamer, right? You never know when something crazy is going to happen.
I have the same problem in all my live streams.
Test. No. Yes, my phone is on mute. All right. Now I can't hear anything there. Hold on. Yeah, this is going to be nuts.
I mean, the most mixed paint ever.
And it's like a 3-second delay.
You just talk slowly.
Let me try that. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. How's that sound? Can you hear me? Aaron, say something.
I can hear it. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. All right. Yep, that's better. I just won't. So you guys are going to have to monitor the chat. Yeah. Sorry about that, everybody. But again, welcome. So what we have Aaron doing right now with his miniature is he's putting a primer on it. What's that primer called, Aaron?
Which one is this?
The dark
lighter primer. Yeah, the darker stuff's done.
Okay.
Now we got surface primer.
Nice.
And for anybody out there who doesn't know who I am, I'm a noob at this. So.
Yeah, he has. How many miniatures have you painted in your life, Aaron?
I've never brushed a mini ever. I have an airbrush, and I've primed a lot, but then it's stopped from there.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to be painting, like I said, some terrain from the Shatterpoint, Star Wars Shatterpoint game, and using the speed paints. Once Aaron is done doing his dry brush, getting all the nice highlights on the miniature. And what is the name of that creature, by the way?
This is Kegar the Barbarian.
Kegar the Barbarian. It's so good. My favorite character from the Heroes of Arcadia game is Sir Drinks-a-Lot. I think he is possibly the best because he can call out challenges.
Oh, he's my favorite.
Yeah, he's so good.
He's my favorite. His sword broke, and so I couldn't paint him today.
Oh, no.
I know. Am I doing this right, or am I just messing this up?
Let me take a look. Show it closer to the camera.
Oh, I got to do it under light here.
No, I think it looks. There we go. Yeah,
Yeah.
that looks great. Yeah,
It needs to be more dry.
yeah, it needs to dry a little bit more.
I love that this looks great because I
Perfect.
feel
Just enough.
that was
Today's going to be a day of
learning
exploration.
and discovering.
Yeah.
If you feel intimidated, just talk to Rick.
Well, I get overly excited when I get to hang out with you, man. It's like when we first met at Gen Con or sorry, Gamma a couple years ago.
Yeah,
Um, you know, the bromance began,
it
right?
did. It did.
So
He's a great hugger.
that's true. Um, and we've we've had a lot of fun uh, over the last couple years with like all the content creation,
Oh yeah.
watching your company grow with Rollacrit. But what I think a lot of people might be interested in is where does where did this all start for you? Like, where did you start in the industry?
So in the gaming industry, relatively new. But what I've always looked at is pop culture and video games and board games all in the same kind of group. Like you're not. Um, I feel like it's pretty. Uh, Everyone kind of lives in that same realm. Once you are in this industry, you don't really leave very easily.
Right,
You just get to be a kid. I mean, I'm painting right now, and this is
right.
work technically. So it's a
Yes.
lot of fun to be in it. And so I've worked at. I started in the industry coming from a stuffy job in DC to working for Think Geek back in late 2011,
Okay.
and from there, I think really all my fandoms that you got to, no one tells you you can do this when you're in college or growing
Right.
up. Like you can make toys for a living. Uh,
And
or
yeah,
hold
people are like,
machines and stuff.
no way.
No, you're doctor, lawyer, something.
Right.
All the people out there that are all those things. That's awesome. But when you're a child that doesn't want to grow up, you stay in this industry and you just act professional. so
Right.
and so I didn't want to leave. And so, it's Think Geek had, it was so much fun to be there and work there. And a lot of the tabletop stuff we did at that time was kind of like one off non licensed things.
Right.
And it was a lot of fun to see the reaction to that. But we had a license at the time too to do stuff for D&D and Magic the Gathering and things like that. And we had a lot of product ideas that we developed that just never came to fruition because we also had Minecraft and that was hot at the time. We have,
Right.
it's still hot now, or hot again, I guess.
Hmm.
And there was a lot of other things that we had to serve, and there's only so much products you can make at a time. And so we
Right.
never really got to any of those fun ideas we had. And so when ThinkGeek was purchased by GameStop in 2015, and then eventually kind of just died in 2019,
Yeah.
I held on the entire time. I ran our shows and a lot of our marketing stuff,
Hmm.
um, and so as we broke down our booth in 2019, I vowed to come back with a vengeance and
Right.
start back, Think Geek again or something. It got to a point where we were curating awesome stuff, and then Amazon got to a point where it started carrying everything. So unless you had
Hmm.
exclusive stuff, there was really no point, because everyone wants free shipping, but it costs money to ship things. And
Right.
everyone, Amazon built that behavior to retail, and so as you know, or at least anybody who's watching knows, retail is now Amazon. And then, a
Right.
lot of people are coming back to try to support some of the smaller businesses that are, building the stuff that Amazon ends up either stealing from them or,
Hmm.
whatever.
Right.
And so I wanted to stay in this world and keep creating products, especially when I felt it was underserved with the things we were trying to do. And so
Right.
tabletop, I'm a big Magic the Gathering player, casual.
Hmm.
I would get schooled on, the most common sets and all of the fun things. I've just
Right.
liked playing it and have collected the cards since I was 8. And then I also just like tabletop games because my family growing up, we had um, or at least we tried to get time together on Sundays. And so we would try to get, food or something like that and then play a board game or watch a movie
Okay.
as a family because, it's just things get crazy.
Yeah.
And I always liked that a lot. I played chess with my dad a lot. I was in the chess club in high school and I ran the chess club there. I like strategy a lot. I like RTS games. So even the video games I play
Yeah.
are like board games.
Yeah.
It's like
Like,
resource management. I like Euro games a lot.
okay.
I went to a drama school, so I played some D&D a little bit at the time, but I live so far from everyone; it was hard to get together with anybody.
Okay.
And so it was a natural fit. I think licensing too hasn't really hit this space too much, and it is now. And so I think
Yeah.
with Embracer Group joining in with video game stuff, and a lot of other companies doing, Cryptozoics doing a lot of licensed stuff. There's a lot of people doing licensed stuff now.
Right.
I think in the game space, but
Hmm.
there's no one. Everyone's making game and dice, and we make
Hmm.
obviously a game, and we make dice as well. But we
Right.
wanted to do something a little bit more than that, where video games have their had their couch co-op era where you get to build out your game room, and my game room on the other side as well is ridiculous.
Yeah. It's
Um,
pretty cool.
but no one comes over and plays video games anymore.
No.
Diablo 4 is couch co-op now, so that's good. But
Hmm.
it's very few. And so
Right.
with tabletop games, who's building the products to build out your tabletop,
Hmm.
um, you know, game room?
Right.
Uh, really no one. And
No
so
one. I think the closest thing would be maybe whiz kids with their trophies, right? Their
oh
head
right,
trophies, but
yeah,
that's
you
about
can
it.
find, and there's things that are like out there you can find for sure. But we wanted to serve a market for that specifically, and it's
Yeah.
hard because when video games started too, people just wanted the video games, no one wanted the toys for video games. But now when
Right.
people are buying $300 $400 statues of modern warfare,
Right.
and then the next one comes out 6 months later, like there's a market for fandom in general too, of just like to show off the things you like, and because that's
Hmm.
just fun to do.
Absolutely.
And so we wanted to really build that, and it's just we got to forge the path. A lot of tabletop game stores and things like that need to
Hmm.
see what it's like to open up a shelf full of just other product that add on and see
Right.
if it works. And so that's what we're hoping to kind of forge
Yeah.
the path to do.
Well, I see, like on different like platforms, YouTube Shorts and just YouTube videos, Reels, Facebook alone, TikTok, all the different platforms that are out there. People like to show off their game room, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
It's like a bragging rights situation.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, everyone has their Calax, right? Everyone's got
Yeah.
their like, or I think we have a blog post on the site too. Of I did mine through IKEA, and you could
Okay.
build your own dimensions and like go through the IKEA shelving that you can get and like
Right.
build it out yourself so you could spec it out.
Right.
It's really fun. But yeah, no, I think that's what people show off. But and then the tables did really well too because when I was
Hmm.
at Think Geek at PAX, all the
Hmm.
time we were next to Geek Chic was out at the time,
Yeah.
and all these tabletop, all these board game tables were being
Hmm.
made. That was huge, but
Yeah.
you still have the table in a room that has no fun decorations or like wall torches or anything like that around it, unless you really put in the
Right.
effort to find them.
Right. Otherwise, I think it's just you got to be real crafty and be able to make your own stuff. But if I could have my own, just go to a store and pick up some torch sconces to
Right,
hang on my wall that look like they're coming straight out the dungeon, I
right.
would
You can
use
get
that.
them from like Oriental Trading, but like they're not for a specific game. They're not for like Gloomhaven or for
Right.
D&D or something like that where you feel like you're in the world when you're playing.
Right. Absolutely. And so when you came over, or when ThinkGeek came to its end for you, and you started Rollacrit, um, did you think you were going to publish a board game?
Not at all.
and yet, and yet you have, and it did very well on Kickstarter, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
No, it was a big eye opener for us. To see what that turned into. Because the way we look at it as Heroes of Arcadia as a product, it's a
hmm.
product that has a gaming component to it, which is a game.
Right.
But that's just what we do to tell ourselves that it's a product because it's all plastic and
Hmm.
glasses. And so to us, it's still product based.
Right.
And it took a lot of time to really master the product to get it to the point where it's at. 'Cause it's not printing on paper, which is
Right.
really hard to find a material that you could print on with ink. And there's so
Mhm.
much that goes into production that's just insane, especially during the pandemic.
Absolutely.
Starting a company in 2020 was a great idea.
Oh, absolutely. I think it was because it was like you were the barbarian kicking the door in with that Kickstarter, right? You're like,
That
"Boom, hey, we're here. You need to check us out because we're gonna start doing some really cool stuff."
It was, yeah, and we had a little bit of testing in the market beforehand because it was an
Mhm.
April Fool's Day product of 2016, I think. Geek we called it our Bar PG, and so we always came out every April Fools with a bunch of fake products. People would click
Mhm.
on them, try to buy them, and then we'd say, "Yeah, sorry." But then some of those products we would make by
Right.
seeing how popular it was.
Okay.
And that product ended up becoming way too expensive to make, but it was one of the most popular of that year. But it
Okay.
just to develop the rest of the game, come up with the components. When you look at the cost of the actual game, it just was
Mhm.
too expensive.
Okay.
Um, but when we don't have a board of directors to answer to, and it's just me and my partner Conrad, that's we we can make it work as long as Kickstarter tells us we can.
Right.
So,
It's kinda crazy when you work for yourself and you don't have anybody to tell you no.
yeah, it is also very dangerous because there's a lot of stuff
Yes.
I want to do, and it's good to have a good partner to tell you no once in a while. So I'm more of the I try to do as much as I can,
Mhm.
and my partner Conrad and I went to college together, so he joined in about almost I guess like a year after we started because we didn't like the Kickstarter was the thing that opened the door, but we were working on Rollacrit and everything like that for a year before that even happened, and even the game itself was in production a year before we even launched the Kickstarter. So
Okay.
because I thought you had to make it first and then kickstart it, so we just paid
Oh,
for all of the production to be made to get the sample made, and then once that was done, everyone's like, "No, you can just put up a concept," which is good though because we were ready to print, and the
yeah.
factory at the time just couldn't get it right for almost an entire year,
Wow.
and it's very frustrating because the whole game was done. We just
Right.
needed to just say, "Yep, we're funded. Turn the machine on." But when
Right.
samples started coming in, it was like, no. When it comes to us being anal about product, at least any product you buy from Rollacrit is way too thought out, and it's been scrutinized for 6 months before it even was released,
Nice.
which is good for the customer, bad for your wallet
Absolutely.
as a company.
I mean, it just, may slow some things down a little bit, but if the product coming to the table is
That's my thought. Yeah, and it's
premier,
usually been that. I don't
yeah,
think we have any complaints about our product quality. I haven't seen much.
I don't
Coming
think
through it.
there's much, if any, for sure.
No, no, and it's because we're the standards have to pass us, and we're
Right.
very. We have a lot of experience, so
Mhm.
that definitely helps. It's not like this is the first business we've had,
Right.
even though it's the first one we're running. It's we've been in roles and product development for a while. A lot of the team that we have too is very
Mhm.
experienced. Our PM right now is 25 years of experience, so
Wow.
it's that's not even just my own standards. That's
Right.
everyone else in the team standard as well for art
Mhm.
and for the product on the PM side. Now,
Okay.
I don't want to distract us here from this awesome conversation, but this looks terrible. Did I do it right?
Okay, put it close to the camera. No, it looks great. How dry is it?
It's pretty dry.
Okay. So, I would say now you're gonna wanna put the colors on the face that you wanna put on there. If you wanna paint him exactly like he is in the game.
I think so. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I'm gonna make them red, white, and black.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm just gonna
okay,
go. I'll see if I could join the rest of the Facebook group we have of what they're painting on minis.
yeah. So just
Everyone's been doing a great job at painting the minis for these.
nice, and these are available on your website. So I already made the mistake. The thing I warned you about, uh, I had my explosion, paint explosion, because the thing I warned you about, which you're doing perfectly, I
Oh no, you just did right now.
when I well, if you look at my paint,
Oh my god!
yeah, the top was loose, and it just popped right off, and caused me to have a little bit of a mess.
Rick, painting takes a while. It takes a lot. You'll get it one day.
I will. One of these days, I'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
Absolutely. One of these days I'll figure it out. I
Um,
don't know. This was Warrior Skin. Warrior Skin exploded this time.
this is going to be really interesting. This is
That's
like a
funny.
deep red.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do that. Gonna show up. So there it is, the Heroes of Arcadia game right there for everybody watching.
There we go.
And this will be available at Gen Con, right?
That is correct. We have, for the first time ever, not only we have the Gen Con store, but we'll have a Rollacrit booth on the floor 1749. So
Nice.
stop by. And to give you more of an incentive to stop by, we'll have a Gen Con mini mart at the booth as well. So if you want to buy Heroes of Arcadia and you want some pins from Gen Con, you can get them in the same transaction.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, that looks super cool. Yeah, the glasses there. Yeah, so Sir Drink a Lot is on the bottom right. That's my favorite one. And then Absynthia is also pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, there's
Merlot's favorite.
Merlot. Who else we got? Who is this one? Oh, Intoxica. Saucer. Necromixer. There's my boy.
There he is.
Yeah, he's so good. And then Absynthia. There was a cosplayer at, I think it was PAX Unplugged
Yep.
last year, who was like the perfect Absynthia.
Oh yeah. No, we again coming from video game space and pop
Killer.
culture, we thought that when you come out with a game, you need a whole cosplay team and prop replicas and all this stuff. So we hired a um, Honey Next, which is a cosplay group out of or a cosplay person really team out of Saratoga Springs, New York,
Okay.
and she made handmade all of our characters. So she's also working on our two characters from the expansion, Tipple and Maltilda.
Hmm.
Um, and we also have a bunch of the cards from the weapons. So we have the weapons made as well, which we'll have at the show at Gen Con as well, just to show off.
Nice.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun to see our cosplay team walk around during PAX Unplugged. Realize I think this is the wrong industry for this, but I like that we have um, a cosplay team for this. I think it's a lot of fun.
Well, I don't
Uh,
think it's the wrong industry because there were some other board game companies that have had cosplayers. Oh, Cephalofair has Geeks a Go Go,
oh, nice.
and then shoot, Ultra Pro has had not Ultra Pro. Upper Deck has had cosplayers before.
Okay, good.
When they
Yeah,
when they
no,
when they did
I'm
the Big
just
Trouble in Little
I'm a
China.
newbie in the space here, so I was just like, oh no, did we just spend all that money?
No, not at all. And but because a lot of people were taking photos with the cosplayers, and
Oh yeah, and
that's
yeah,
always good for like putting the name again out there because
yeah. No,
and
and it's so much fun to come up with it and see it come to life. I think
yeah,
it's yeah, and this game is a party game, so I mean,
right.
it's I think that is definitely a lot of fun
Hmm.
to work with them, and it was cool to see some of the weapons from the game um, in real life.
Yeah,
You know, I think that it was really cool to see how good. I mean, we just had the illustration from the card, and they went from the illustration from the card to a full, you know, real
yeah,
life thing.
yeah,
That was unbelievable. We
yeah.
didn't
The
give them
3D
STLs.
renders were so good.
Yeah, but for the STLs, yeah, we sell the STLs on the site right now, just because
Right.
I wasn't sure. Like, our game is Heroes of Arcadia is a liquid life system game, and
Mm-hmm.
so your character is your cup, and so the miniatures part was kind of like, well, that's what we're trying to change is we have a cup instead of miniatures. But a lot of
Right.
people, in comments and things like that, wanted to see miniatures of this as well.
Right.
I don't know if they were worried about getting the game wet, but all the cards are PVC. But
Mm-hmm.
still, it was a cool idea. We
Yeah.
have an amazing resource that sculpted all of these, and
Right.
like we were very lucky to be with one of the best sculptors to do this stuff.
Nice.
I feel bad we gave her like some of the easiest art to work with, but
Who
she's
was your
amazing.
sculptor?
She actually is the I don't know if I can say a name, but one of the lead designer, one of the lead sculptors at Lego.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so
Okay.
she's very is a
Okay.
really cool thing. Um,
Yeah.
as a favor for a friend, and then this
Yeah.
ended up just turning into being as good as it was.
Yeah.
Um, it was a lot of fun, and I think that was like $1 million. If we hit $1 million, we're gonna release out minis, and everybody who backed the Kickstarter got the STLs for it.
Nice.
So that was fun. But we sell them on the site now. We work with
Mhm.
a couple people. There's someone in our Heroes of Arcadia group that does a really good job printing them,
Mhm.
and has started doing early. And then we also partner with Board Game Boss
Okay.
um, to print as well. And so he's
Nice.
actually selling some of the minis at the Rollacrit booth
Okay.
um, during Gen Con. So he'll be at our booth selling, which
Nice.
is a
Well,
lot of fun.
the thing about the minis I think is interesting is for those individuals that want to keep their cup close to them, the miniature makes a great token for their dungeon delve through the game, and
Right.
they can keep their drink close to them. So I think that's a good reason to have miniatures for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
You know.
and yeah, it's fun because you can use these miniatures. I mean, they're just by class, so you can use
Yeah.
these for your, for every day. I
Yeah.
think we have some people that just buy the miniatures, and I'm looking at, their purchase, and they didn't even purchase the game; they just bought the miniatures.
Well,
So
that
that's
makes
like,
me wonder is there any other games around this on the horizon featuring the same characters potentially?
you know, um, we're working on some stuff. We've gotten some. The party pack we had in our back pocket because we weren't sure how the Kickstarter was going to do. And
Okay.
then once it started doing really well, we're like, well, let's just release it
Mm-hmm.
because it's not an expansion pack. It is just we.
Yep,
I mean,
there it is.
the game costs enough as it was, and we wanted to make sure it was
Mhm.
attainable. And it's not a party game if we give you 4 glasses. It's a
Right.
party game if we give you six. And
Right.
so, but a party game's also just 6 people is not enough.
Hmm.
I love Wits and Wagers and some of the other games. They're just traditional party games that have a lot more players.
Yep.
And so we went to 8. Um, if you have a big enough table to play with 8.
Right.
And after that, um, there's going to be no more than 8 players, but there may be,
New
uh,
characters,
maybe.
maybe. Well, I was thinking is we have like we have some good friends that make really good RPGs, right? Like the O'Neills over at Ninth Level Games with all with their polymorph system. I could see a Heroes of Arcadia role playing game under the polymorph system. Just
That,
saying.
yeah, I mean, I think that the characters, I mean, the game itself is fun. Um, enough where I'm happy to see the results of the game, but the
Yeah.
characters people are finding an affinity for, and so
Yes.
I think what a lot of people have,
Yeah.
especially, I mean, I'm sure it's not just me, is um, it's aside from just self doubt of just like like I don't know if this is what people are going to want or whatever.
Sure.
I could do what I want to do as an owning the company, but at the same
Mm,
time, it's kind of hard to see. You don't want to spend a lot of time building something for months and releasing it, and people are like, yeah, I didn't really want that. it's
sure.
it's kind of like where is this going next? Does this have enough of the story? And the story
Hmm.
builders we have on staff, and then also just the story builders that we know as friends and work with,
Yeah.
are come up with some crazy things just off the top of their head of
Hmm.
just like, that'd be great if you did this, and that'd be great if you did this. I'm like, that sounds amazing. And then just seeing like, well, is how's the rest of the group going to respond to this? That
Sure.
play Heroes of Arcadia, is this going to bring people to the table that didn't back Heroes of Arcadia, and because they don't play that type of game, but they may play an RPG with these
Mm,
characters? So
right.
there's a lot in there that is just like, it's untested because again, I came from pop culture and video games, so I don't really know
Mm,
much about this space or publishing games except for the production and the shipping and all the fun stuff that goes with it. But I think we've been learning a ton since we launched. We've
right.
been learning too a ton from running the Gen Con booth too, just getting advice and just talking
Hmm.
to people. And um, we have a community, where we try to stay involved with the community as much as we can.
Hmm.
And we listen and read every comment.
Yeah.
And so it's that kind of stuff put all together is just helping us drive and
Yeah,
figure out what people are looking for and try to appeal to the masses here with
sure.
what this industry is starting for.
No, absolutely. What no, speaking of Gen Con and running the merch booth for Gen Con, last year wasn't your first year though, right?
No, 20 was it
2021 would have been, right?
2021? Yeah, because 2020 was the year that it didn't happen, right? Because the
Correct,
pandemic.
because of COVID. Yeah. Well,
So
2019 and 2020. But 2022, last year was like the return of the big show, right?
yeah, I mean, yeah, it was definitely 2021 was a great show to get our feet wet. So I
Mhm.
mean, that's essentially Off World ended up retiring,
Yeah.
and when I saw that email come through, I was like, hey, well, let's take a stab at it. This is like, you know, we just we're doing the Kickstarter and all that kind of stuff, and that's we're making product, but bread and butter is lifestyle product is our
Mhm.
bread and butter.
Yep.
And
What was the biggest thing you were surprised by last year as a booth at a merch company, and what was the thing that your biggest lesson learned?
oh, um, biggest surprise. Let's see. I guess lines.
Okay.
Um, I've been going to trade shows and conventions for so long that and as not really as an attendee more than I am someone working. Because San Diego Comic Con is huge. You need to think about going to the bathroom like 30 minutes before you actually need to go, just because it's going to take you that long
Yep.
to get to the bathroom.
Right.
And there's so I think it was really just being prepared for the amount of lines
Mhm.
of people waiting just to go in and purchase. So I think that's something that I'm used to a point, but it was definitely people were very hungry for product, or at least just moving, from not having a year of Gen Con to having a year of
Mhm.
Gen Con. And that's we had a good transition by talking. We learned a lot from Offworld. Um,
Okay.
we worked together during the transition to really make sure that we knew as much about the customers as possible. So they were working for 10 years with Gen Con,
Right.
and we're very involved. And so we tried to, we're customer first. So we tried to do everything that, they were trying to do or they're seeing. We tried to replicate what they were doing so that we didn't come in and change everything. We wanted to make it feel very familiar. And
Right.
so that's what we really did in the first year. And um, I think people appreciate it a little bit, but we definitely missed a bunch of stuff that, polos or, some of the things that we didn't really know that people were really looking for.
As far as the
As
wearable stuff?
yeah, wearables, a shot glass. I'm a collector myself,
Right.
so I know what it's like to miss a year of something.
Mhm.
Uh, and we made 2,000 pins for that year, and we sold out of those pins. We sold them online, and then we sold them at the show. We sold out of those pins, and after that, it was just like it was crazy. So we had to make more pins. But selling out is the goal. We don't
Yep.
like it's nothing's really exclusive if you make too many of it, and it's not a good business practice. It's not a good collectible if it's not
Right.
collectible. So
Yep. 100%.
um, and so I think that's probably the biggest lesson we learned is really I think pins and some product categories that we really need to serve.
Mhm.
So we adjusted that the following year.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the pins for this year. Uh, the dragon around the D20 looks cool.
Yeah, and that's stained glass, as in like what it is clear enamel.
Oh, it's like a sun catcher.
Yeah, as a
Nice.
pin, which is nearly impossible to really get right. And so this took just to get a sample correct at least 7 months. And so there's
Oh
a
my.
lot that go into the product, and that's what I think it's hard to say that because no customer wants to hear any of the story that goes into it. But this
They just
this went wrong like 4 times. We had to go to 3 different factories to try
wow.
to find like this is such a great thing because we had the one that we liked a lot. Um,
Right.
but that factory shut down, so we had to look
Okay.
for another factory to continue with the stained glass. But I love this.
Nice. And then we got the little dragon. Nice.
Yeah, the little cobalt. And so people like the cobalt shirt did really well in 2022, I believe.
Okay.
And so people wanted more cobalt stuff. And so we're like, okay, well, we'll do a pin. So we kind of kept it in the same style, and his little sword spins. So when you flick the sword, it'll spin around.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So show some of the shirts and other merch that's going to be available.
Yep,
Oh, wow. That's cool.
yep,
Uh, choose your own adventure cover.
you got it. Yeah, choose your own adventure. Yeah, we went like we try to theme every year
Mm-hmm.
because I think that's just a lot of fun. And and this year we went with kind of like a lot of themes.
Okay.
We went heavy metal, retro, and anime. Just because we wanted to, like, what we realized too when we pick a theme, someone might just not like the theme,
Yeah.
and there you go. You miss out. People miss his shirt, and so we wanted to keep that going by kind of just spreading it out.
Is this your metal one right here?
That's a metal one. Yep. Our tour shirts are one of the best selling shirts. Um, I think they're awesome as well. So this one we really wanted to lean into the rock concert kind of
Yeah.
um, Led Zeppelin looking thing. And instead of just having Genevieve, we went with a griffin for this.
Okay. Yeah.
But, so we went heavily into the griffin. We're just trying to find, some other mystical beasts we can kind of see if we can
Oh,
get out
yeah.
in the
And the
market.
back looks like a concert tee.
Yeah, yeah. Genevieve has friends, and
Yeah, of
I think a
course.
griffin is one of them. And so,
Well, for those that don't know that are watching, Genevieve is the mascot of Gen Con. So,
yes, and that I think that was established relatively.
like early.
I think it was, yeah, and so that's what we've been trying to play with that as much as possible because
Is
again,
that the tarot card one
that's
looks
tarot
cool.
card. Yep,
Yeah, that's super cool.
I love it, and the Roman numerals on the top. If you could read Roman numerals, 2023.
Nice.
Yeah.
And this looks like another rock shirt.
Oh my god. Yeah. So that's the lead. That's the lead graphic for the year. So
Okay.
that we commissioned a an amazing artist to like a rock artist who does a lot of posters for Metallica and things like that
Right.
to build this for us. And it is so ridiculous that we put it on so many things. And hint hint, it is very much what our booth is going to look like this year as well.
Oh, really? Kind of like a rock star event, huh?
It is. It is.
All right.
And the Gen Con and the 2023 and the torches all glow in the
Oh, sick.
dark.
All right. Well, I have some wearables to show some folks that are what that maybe watching that have been from Gen Cons past. So the hat I'm wearing currently is one of your Rollacrit hats. It's the flat brim with the Rollacrit symbols underneath. So you can see all that under there.
The printed bill. Yep.
Yep. So I got this one. I've also got this one here. This is from Gen Con uh, as well. Boop,
Yeah.
boop.
Last year was more medieval. We went with the crest because Gen Con doesn't have a crest, and
It
so
doesn't.
it didn't, and now it
And
does. That,
then
yeah.
just the D20 embroidered, which
The
is one of my
classic.
favorites.
Yeah, we have to keep the classic going. We'll always keep that going. At least we try.
Well, the producer here, Mark, likes the flat brimmed
Oh, nice.
hat.
The roller crew one, the printed
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yeah, we the streetwear is kind of cool, and that's another thing too. Is there's a lot of apparel companies, especially that we see at Gen Con, and I think that a lot of the classic stuff looks good, but we wanted to kind of add in a little bit of streetwear and see what other types of styles people are missing,
yeah.
um, and try to fill those gaps.
Well, you guys definitely hit it out the park when it comes to apparel. There's no doubt about it. And also with the dice, like we've got these dice here. The ones that have like the flowers, the sunflower the yellow flowers inside of them. I just call those my butter dice. Yeah, because they just smooth.
You put them under your chin. You see if you like butter.
Yes. And then you got the green ones here. And I love the tins you guys put them in too.
Yeah, the elder gods. Those are great.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we it took very long for us to find a factory we really wanted to work with for our
Hmm.
resin sharp edge
Okay.
dice, and we found one that literally hand makes each one of these, and can only produce a certain amount. So we haven't really announced that we're also a dice company, but we do have
Right.
a lot of dice on the site. There's dice that a lot of other companies have, of course. We try to keep our prices competitive so that we can stay up in the group. But really, the unique stuff is the a lot of some of our metal dice and the sharp edge resin dice,
Right.
because we have to dictate all of that, and then after months and months of them hand inking all of these and polishing then we
Right.
finally get to see them. So we'll have at the Rollacrit booth, we'll have 7 new sets of a whole
Nice.
new mold that is probably our favorite dice that we're releasing. So we're
All
releasing
right.
them. It's like a sneak peek release, early launch at Gen Con.
Nice. And then one of the other items that I've always thought was is pretty cool are the scroll cases. These are super cool to pop them open, and there's your dice mat and then your storage for your dice and or pencils or whatever you want to keep in there. I love these things.
Yeah,
They're sick.
yeah, those are very helpful. It's 2 in 1.
Especially if you're like a traveling GM that because I know a lot of traveling GMs, you can't take all your best terrain, you can't take all your best stuff, but you can take your best dice if you take this.
Right, right. No, and it's cool too if you're going to like a Renaissance fair. You can just keep that on you. It makes it look like you're
Oh, part of your garb.
yeah.
All right, so we've talked about some convention stuff for sure, but I want to know is with all the trade shows that you attend, and not the consumer shows, just the trade shows. Which trade show is kind of taking that first place position for you as like your favorite one?
That's I mean, well, Gen no, I get to work Gen Con, so I don't really get to. I got to walk the floor a little bit
Well, that's a
this year.
that's a
Yeah,
consumer
this
show
year I
though.
get to work a little bit. Yeah, the consumer show, so trade show, like like all right, so industry show.
Yeah, industry show.
Okay, industry show. Um, I haven't been to Toy Fair in so long because they haven't had it. But Toy Fair, I'd say Toy
Mm.
Fair is probably my favorite.
Toy Fair is awesome, and I
Toy
think
Fair,
it's
I'm
in
happy that it's
September
back
this year.
here, so I'm very excited. I'll be going to Essen also for my first time, which I guess
Oof.
that's is that. I mean, I know it's a consumer show, but it's still very
I mean, that's on my bucket list as well. I haven't gone to it yet.
yeah. So I'll be
Um,
going. It's Toy Fair, and then I'm flying right to Essen from Toy Fair, so
oof.
it's really
All right.
exciting. But yeah, no, I love. I mean, I'm in Delaware. I'm from
Yeah.
South Jersey, and so going to a show in New York is always fun, but
Yeah.
especially one that you get to see a lot of friends.
Right.
Because that's really what it is, and that's why I like this industry so much. Is you're working with your friends
Yes.
all the time. You have all the contracts and all the really boring conversations about businessy stuff and things like
Hmm.
that you have to go through. But at the end of the day, you're still working with your friends on a project. You just have to make
Yeah.
sure that everybody wins and that the
Hmm.
customer's happy at the end of the day. And make sure you have great
Absolutely.
partnerships. And so I think that that's cool because a lot of people, I wish a lot of customers got to see behind the scenes
Yeah.
on some of these conversations and how they work and how some of the ideas for some of these products come up.
Yeah.
But at Toy Fair, it's a lot of those because it's not just tabletop and video games stuff. We're in the collectibles area,
Yeah.
but there's games, there's kids toys, there's blocks, there's
There's
you know
outdoor
yeah,
toys and stuff.
wooden
It's
toys and things
yeah.
like that. I love just seeing everything that comes out because we're all kids,
Yeah.
at heart, and so it's you're all grown up now. You get to see all the stuff, but now you get to see what's behind the curtain. So that's a
Yeah.
lot of fun. all the
Yeah,
time.
I think Toy Fair would probably be my top one as well. I've had so many good experiences there. Um, Not just in seeing something new before the community does, but you know, making good connections.
Right.
Um, also getting the but also getting to geek out over like my favorite fandom. Like when you go to the Hasbro booth and you have to be on the list to
Oh
go
yeah.
into the Hasbro booth because it's all walled out and you can't see what's inside. And once you get inside, you're seeing all the Star Wars stuff that's coming out for the next 12 to 18 months, and
Right.
it's nuts.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That the Lego booth. Like
The
there's
Lego booth,
yeah.
yep,
There's a lot of them here. It's like get me in.
yep. And that's what's funny too is like some of those are hard to get into,
Right.
even
Yeah.
though
And,
you
and
might
I
be an
think it's
attendee.
yeah. It's different now that we're not. I'm not with ThinkGeek, but it was definitely a lot easier, obviously, because we've been working
Hmm.
with a lot of those companies. But now um, this one's going to be interesting because now this one we have you know now we have a game to sell. We
Yeah.
have product to sell, and so it's going to be interesting. We don't have a booth, but we'll definitely be walking the show floor and seeing who we can meet with and talk with.
Hmm.
It's we're growing and have been growing so fast that it's hard to keep up.
Right.
But I'm hoping to have some sort of exhibit next year
Okay.
um,
They're
with
going to
some
put you
people.
in the new exhibitor space at the far end in the basement.
I know you got to earn your points back.
Yep. Yep. But it's always fun too. That's one of the first places I go because you never know who you're going to see down there, right?
Right.
And I think in 2019 when I went, Weta was in the new exhibitor hall down in the basement on the far
Oh
left.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it
I
doesn't
was
matter
like,
who you are.
yeah, I was like, wait, you guys are Weta Workshop. What are you doing here? You're the guys that make Lord of the Rings. They're like, well, we're new. So
Yeah, yeah.
it
And
was
if you miss a
awesome.
year too, it's not good.
Oh
So
yeah, it bumps you down too.
oh my gosh,
So you recently were at the licensing expo in Vegas.
that's right. I'd say that's my second. It's probably my
Yeah.
second favorite industry show.
So I know you probably can't say if you were able to land any cool licenses or anything, but you did something there that really was part of another fandom of yours. And I saw the photos, and you look like such a freaking on Christmas. Uh, can you tell us a little bit about that fandom?
Yes, I have a lot of fandoms, as Rick knows.
Yeah.
But my one of my favorite fandoms um, is robot building.
Mm-hmm.
And I always was into robotics. I was going to go to school for robotics, but I went to a performing arts high school, so we didn't have a robotics team. I built our chess team, so like we
Right.
definitely didn't have a robotics team to go and build competitions. But when I started at Thinky, one of the things we did is sponsor a STEM program for one of the high schools in Northern Virginia, and we
Okay.
would judge a robot fighting contest. And
Woo.
it was so much fun to see that like everyone can just build these things in high school. Like how
Right.
you do that. And then so leading to 2012 was my first Star Wars celebration
Okay.
in Orlando, I believe, and I saw the R2 building group, and
Okay.
they were driving their R2D2s around, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so I was like, how is this a thing? And why are there so many of these?
Right.
And so I got to talk to them, and of course, anybody who's interested in getting into robot building, the community is insanely welcoming, and they're very nice. So it's not as intimidating as like learning electro engineering and mechanical engineering and all that fun stuff. A
Or
lot
mini
of these
painting.
guys were accountants or mailmen or whatever, and built this just by getting the resources they had in the astromech group.
Right.
And so I joined that. I built. I started collecting my pieces for R2D2, and I was building a mouse droid as well.
Nice.
And so, um, BattleBots has always been a thing.
Right.
Obviously when I'm 38 now, but at least I was when I was younger. It was on TV, and now it's back on TV. And I used to collect them from just the store. And so that was
Right.
another thing was really realizing that people also make BattleBots.
Right.
And so, being into that so much, I have been religiously obsessed with BattleBots.
Okay.
And if anyone watching and wants to start a BattleBots team and has sponsors for a $50,000 robot, I'm here.
All right. All right.
So, but I started, yeah, I have this. So this is my little, that's what my tinker area. This is my little death machine I just built now.
It looks so good.
Yeah.
Is it a
So, but
is it a flipper? Does it flip the opponent?
it's a vertical spinner and it's a
Okay.
1 pound, so it's an ant weight. I'm trying to build a beetle weight, which is a 3 pound, but you find more competitions than 250-pound competitions
Oof.
for battle bots. So
Okay.
a lot of the battle bots drivers and builders build smaller bots as prototypes, kind of thing, to see to test them and build a larger one to scale.
Okay.
So it's just a fun hobby that there's not a lot of people in Delaware that are in my network of robot building, so I just do
I
it
mean,
and
there's not a lot of people in Delaware, period. So
it's very true. Um, but no, it was great. I got to go with too another friend of yours, Elisa T.
yeah, yeah. Lisa's great.
Yeah, so I was lucky that she had friends that helped us get tickets to be where we were, and
Hmm.
so it was my birthday during that time. So we had a great birthday party.
Nice. It,
Um,
it looked like you were literally like ringside.
oh yeah, I got like normal people seats, and she was like, oh no, and she knew a bunch of people, so she
Mm,
upgraded us to like the best seats you can get. And so,
nice.
Lisa, if you're watching, thank you for the millionth time.
Yeah. Elisa is like one of those individuals that mysteriously has connections in areas you would never guess.
No, no, she's great to hang out with. So yeah,
Yeah.
and we always hang out, and so it was great to see her at Licensing Show. We got to hang out a lot there. Um, but um, I love BattleBots.
So while at licensing show, we'll we'll spin it back to that. What if you could grab any IP, like what is your like grail IP you could work with
I mean, aside from Star Wars,
aside from Star Wars? But you've had the opportunity to work with Star Wars
oh, I
before.
worked with Star Wars for years with Thinkies, but I would love
Yeah.
to work with them now. On my own rather
Yeah.
than having like again board approved product development.
Right.
Um, that's hard. I mean, I'm just so Star Wars focused that I think that
Hmm.
that's probably my most favorite.
Okay.
Um, it's usually like classic stuff. I really liked. This is kind of off in a tangent, I feel like, but I really liked when Funko started. Um, at least one of the CEOs or one of the people who it was early on liked a
Hmm.
lot of Hanna Barbera
Yep.
stuff, and so there's a lot of classic things that you would have never thought that they'd come out with.
Right.
Um, and so that's kind of like my jam. I'm an older soul, or at least I'm told. So
Okay.
a lot of the stuff I like are more classic things like that. I mean, I'm a big Devo fan, so or
Okay.
reaction figures made, or at Super Seven had Devo. There's a lot of like I'm a weird person. My interests are very weird, so
Okay.
really weird stuff like old classic stuff or Star Wars
Or Star Wars.
or Star
So
Wars.
IP that if I could get my hands on it to make any product from role playing game to toys to literally anything is Thundar the Barbarian.
Really?
Yep, 100%. I would make a Thundar the Barbarian deck builder. I've already got it pretty much done. I would do a Thundar the Barbarian board game. I'd do a Thundar the Barbarian role playing game to expand on the world of Earth 2,000 years after its destruction. Uh, because they didn't. I mean, they only did like a season and a half of that show.
Right. No, no, I'm very shocked. Like, so okay, so my interests aren't as weird. I mean, we made a lot of fire stuff. So wow.
Yeah, Thunder the Barbarian, man. Because did you know that in 1994, from outer space, a runaway planet collided between the Earth and the Moon, unleashing cosmic destruction?
Well, clearly.
Man's civilization was cast in ruins. 2,000 years later, the Earth was reborn, a strange new world full of sorcery, savagery, and super science. But one man broke his bonds to fight for justice with his companions Ukla the Mock, Princess Ariel, and his fabulous sun sword. He is Thundar the Barbarian.
Thank God. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him.
I know, right? 1994 was a dangerous year.
I, well, okay, fine. If we want to get super classics over here, I would love to do a Herculoids game.
Oh, yes, with, was it Bleep and Blop or Bloop and
Yes.
Glop
Yeah.
and Bloop? And then,
I don't think anyone even knows what that is enough to like get excited about that. But I love them.
yeah, the
You
Herculoids were great. It's basically Swiss Family Robinson in space.
right? Yeah. It was very that was one of my jams all the time.
I'm trying to remember what you had the big granite ape. You had
Yes.
the Triceratops creature that shot the
With that
energy
shot the
ball,
little shot the little rocks out of its horn.
and then you had the dragon that shot energy out of its tail and its eyes, I believe.
All right, so you're a secret Herculoids fan too.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, they're all on the same. Them and Space Ghost.
Oh, Space Ghost, Brack Show, Zurak, all of that, like
Hmm.
whatever they made from there, anything from that era was. But again, that's long gone. But old, yeah, anything. I think I have so much Space Ghost stuff. Yeah, you're right.
Space
I
Ghost
have.
is great. I mean, do you know like some of the history behind like Space Ghost, where he's kind of like, if you think like the Nova Corps from Marvel Universe, right? Where you have all these Nova officers, he was a part of an organization like that Brack d- basically killed all of them except for Space Ghost. Space the person who is Space Ghost was left to die, but he survived, kind of like the Lone Ranger, and then returns and is out there doing what he does, fighting for injustice, against injustice in the universe.
Of course.
And in the cartoon, Brack is not the comical character that you see him as on the Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
No, no. But
He is a
that's his
sinister
real
bad
like
guy.
when he's not at work, that's what he's like.
Right,
That
sure.
dad.
Well, it's explained that because in the cartoon, Brack is like shot into this like cloud of destruction or whatever, that again they think he's dead, and then when Space Ghost Coast to Coast comes back, he didn't die. It just drove him crazy, and that's why we got this comical Brack
Lovable
character.
Brack with Thunderqueeze, his neighbor.
Yes, so good.
That's so good. Three hands will kill him.
It's such a good show.
Such a good show. Yeah, so I like that kind of stuff off the wall. I just
Nice.
wish other people followed my interest enough to be able to run another $1 million Kickstarter with those IPs. Who knows? It could because they're
Yeah,
so rare.
right.
You know,
Well, I feel like the He-Man stuff that has recently hit Kickstarter, Simon's He-Man game, and
right?
then was Archon Studios did a He-Man game as well, and they both did very well in regards to the fact
Yeah,
that it's
that's He Man. You have like that. That's what I mean. It's like almost like Transformers or Power
right.
Rangers. Like any of the, they were so much bigger than Herculoids ever was,
Sure.
even in its prime.
I still think that there's enough of a nostalgia piece out there that um, a good Hanna-Barbera universe could be put together.
Yeah, we could do Hanna Barbera, Heroes of Hanna Barbera.
Yeah, that would be
So Hanna
sick.
Barbera, if you're listening,
Well, Warner Brothers, if you're listening,
right, well,
and they're not. They don't listen to anybody.
you never know. They could be a big fan of your show, and now they're
Dang it! And
listening.
I just I
That's
just
awesome.
ruined our opportunity.
There you go.
Dang it!
Hey, whatever Rick says, I'm not with him. I'm just saying. Oh
So
man.
like I said, Thundar would be the one I would want to work with, but beyond Thundar, I really like uh, the Edgar Rice Burroughs stuff. John Carter, Tarzan,
Oh yeah.
all that.
We can get those licenses.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
let's let's talk
I've
about
talked
that.
to
We'll
them
talk
before.
about that off.
I've talked to them a few times at different shows, and but they obviously want to work with established companies, which is totally understandable, and they want to have a definitely a clear view of where that IP is going to go.
Right.
I know that some of the cool stuff that they are really excited about is some of their younger characters from the different series, trying to like bring a younger character audience and get a new generation of fans around these younger characters. So
Right.
I'm excited to see how that all plays out. They've been doing it for the last couple years, so we've seen some of them, like the daughter of Deja Thoris and John Carter, has been in some other content and out on the market. So, fingers crossed we can get some other cool characters.
Yeah. There's a.
Yeah, Modifius has John Carter, I think, for the RPG system. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I feel so isolated in the whole business behind the scenes part that I know almost nothing from what other people are doing.
Oh,
'Cause when I get to walk out of my house for a day,
hmm
that's a good day.
it sounds like a good day. I mean, when I see all the product that you guys are producing and the moving and the shaking that you guys are doing, I'm surprised that you're allowed out of the house.
I well, it's part of our health and wellness program we have here at Rollacrit. Depth perception.
Right,
No, and that's the thing is, I mean, to hit the ground running, we got to hit the ground running, and so it's
right,
we have a couple of years worth of product development we have to get through,
right.
and we're getting through. So there's as we're releasing one thing, we have like 12 more things
Mhm.
in the hopper. So it's been exciting
Right.
to get all of that stuff out, but it is yeah also exciting to walk outside.
So you've got Gen Con as a client as far as being their merch company. Are you looking at expanding into other conventions?
Um, I wouldn't say no.
Okay.
Um, um, I, I I would love to work with Gary Kahn.
Okay.
Uh,
Luke, are you watching?
Luke, yeah, well, he knows. He
Oh, I
knows.
know. I know he called you about a week and a half ago, or emailed you about why how come he doesn't have a hat.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, because
I
you
mean,
got
I'm a
his hat.
walking billboard for you guys.
You are, and I appreciate that. So yeah, he got his hat.
Nice.
But no, yeah, Luke is he's a great person.
Yeah.
I like Luke a lot. I would love to just help him. Again, it's more of like being able to work with friends. So
Yep.
it's easier that way. I think I mean Gen Con takes up so much of our time,
Yeah.
and because I mean we produce, I think we have like a total of 36 SKUs. That's not even
Oof.
shirt sizes for this year.
Right.
A lot of product to make just for one weekend.
Yep.
Usually people don't release that in an entire year,
Hmm.
let alone a tiny team of people um, trying to come up with cool enough stuff for the entire game industry.
Right.
It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of art. It's a lot of we start with so many products and weed our way through
Hmm.
during development to make sure that we're bringing the best stuff. Um, so we'll make more things than we even bring because there's so many things that we either just cut before we try to
Hmm.
get to approval. The execution's not right, the art's not right, something's not right. We just don't feel
Okay.
it, and so we produce a lot more than what you see, just
Okay.
because we need to. And so I think I don't know. I think the more we could focus on that as our outside project,
Hmm.
the better we'll get at it. There's still a lot of fans that want to see certain things, and we want to
Hmm.
make sure that if we don't hit it this year, we hit it next year. And
Right.
I'm sure we'll get a whole new slew of things that people want to see for the following year. And
Right.
I think that it just takes a lot to listen to the community and try to see what they want
Yeah.
to build. And now trying to build the communication directly with them so we can get a little bit more fan input too on what we end up doing. But it
Right.
takes a lot of management,
Yeah.
and so we're getting there.
Well, I knew that like Off-World Designs had their fingers in other cons. Like I believe they were like the official merch company for Dragon Con as well.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and so a lot of their whole business, or a lot of their business, they had their online store as well, but a lot of their
Right.
business, they were a shirt shop. So what
Yeah.
was good about them is they could be a lot more fluid,
Hmm.
with what they did and how they did it,
Right.
because they had their own T-shirt printers and they had their own
Hmm.
screen printing machines. We
Yeah.
do not. So going from, hey, can you reprint this shirt? It's the wrong side. We have to go through a minimum run to
Hmm.
even get someone to turn the machine on. Let alone, so we can't really do that ourselves.
Not
Um,
yet.
Not yet. I don't think I'd ever be a T-shirt printing company. So if
Sure.
any t-shirt printing companies out there, good job. It's very hard work. It's very it's a lot to keep that up. The amount I've
Mhm.
learned about printing shirts in that time I've been doing it has been it's just it's a even though we are a game publisher, we make product, we do a ton of things more
Yeah.
than a company with just a single focus.
Yeah.
We definitely know things that we don't want to do, and that's I think
Sure.
manufacturing is such an art if you could find a really good vendor.
Yeah.
Um, and this year we switched vendors too, so it's
Wow.
very exciting to see. We want to test another shirt printer and see what the
Hmm.
quality like and see how people react to it this year.
Okay.
But we're always looking to improve.
Yeah, of course. It's kind of funny. When they were closing up Off-World Designs, I almost bought their house, the owner's house.
You know what's funny is after I got to meet you, because they were
Uh,
telling me about it too, and I was like, this is actually the best situation ever because they had the factory right on their house.
yep.
With a shirt printing company, a warehouse, and a house all in one
It,
property. I'm
it
like,
was it was two warehouses, a standalone garage, and like a 4 or 5 bedroom house,
yeah,
all on the property, right? And the
it,
and the warehouses weren't small; they were pretty large.
no, no, and she had an embroidery machine.
Yep,
They had
everything, and it all
it,
came in the price in under one price. It was like it was under $1 million.
yeah, and I can't, yeah. Now knowing you because I didn't know you then at the
Yeah.
time, I would have called you right away, but I'm surprised you didn't bite.
Well, there,
You don't have a cool mill just hanging around.
no, no, I didn't have a cool meal, and as a veteran, uh, the veteran, VA home loan just wasn't going to cut it for that.
Oh, did you get that far?
I had looked into it, yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Well, good for you.
because that would, I mean, it was right. Their property was like within 30 minutes of Chicago O'Hare,
Yeah,
so you had that benefit, and it's so close to all the Midwestern cons. Why would you not, you know, potentially want to have that as even as a hub to help to work with other companies? Imagine if that would have been the case. That could have been your T-shirt manufacturer right there, your wearables coming out of Illinois. That would have been freaking cool,
you could have been printing my shirts for me.
right? Dag nabbit. So
Yeah.
how's your miniature coming? Let's take a look at this bad boy.
Oh gosh, I just got to a really bad spot. All right.
I think you would have said that regardless of where when I would have interrupted you.
No, now I'm painting over my base. I have to like go back and paint it again because I realized that I can paint under the ridge cap here. Little helmet. Actually,
How are you liking the speed paint doing what it does? Oh,
it's
other
amazing. I thought you'd have to wait so much longer, and I'm assuming that normally you do if you don't have speed paint. But
that looks good.
it's great because the texture on it too. It kind of builds texture itself.
Yep.
Um, so it looks like real Kagar skin, which you know, patent pending.
I mean, Kagar's skin, for those of you that don't know, makes some of the best pork rinds out there.
Yeah, pre-seasoned. No, it's really interesting. I thought so. I had to paint over the red a couple times, but I thought I was doing something wrong. But I was like, no, this is just what the paint does. This
Yep.
is kind of cool. Um, it makes it. Well, I also feel good painting here now with you, so that you could say, "What are you doing?"
Hmm. It looks great.
And not
I
just
think
here
it's gonna look
alone in my
I,
basement in my principles.
right. That's down there in your own head.
Yeah, like oh
Yeah.
gosh, why am I even doing this? This is so bad.
I mean, that's why when Peter asked me if I wanted to do a painting show on his on this channel, I was like, yes, sir. It's because I didn't want to paint alone, and I didn't want and I get to get in other people's heads and not my own. So
Right. No, that's no, it's great. We get to talk about business and Hercules and
and
Brent.
Herculoids, yeah. I should probably should thank our sponsors to at some point today too.
Okay.
So thank you to the Army Painter and to Geek Envy for Army Painter for the paints, Geek Envy for the brushes and the water cup and some other accessories. Normally, if I was painting a miniature, I'd be using the hobby handle that they make. Um, so there's that. We'd also like to say thank you to Mats by Mars, who makes the playmat here or the placemat, so that when I make spill accidents, it doesn't ruin my desk, which has been now 2 episodes and so far, and this is episode 6. So the odds of me making another one are pretty high. So thank you to Mats by Mars, and finally Sovereignty. Sovereignty is a tabletop simulator platform where you can go and play board games with your friends from all over the world, wherever they might be. If they have the Sovereignty app downloaded on their computer or their tablet, you can play all sorts of cool board games like Isle of Cats.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And if you get on that platform and use TForge 2022, you'll get a 90-day platinum membership, which opens the entire library to you. And as long as one person has access to the library, all folks can play together. So all your friends don't have to get the platinum level, but they can definitely play with you. So, and Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central, if you log in onto Sovereignty, you can actually play with a lot of game designers and the folks that actually make the platform. They have like an industry night, and it's super fun. So that's the sponsors, and of course Gen Con TV for allowing us to do this silliness and have fun painting minis with cool folk like Aaron here from Rollacrit and many others.
Yeah,
Season 2 is going to be wild, by the way.
Army Painter is the first painting everything I ended up buying after extensive research, and that's not sponsored. That's just coming from a candid first time.
Mhm.
Where do I go and buy paints from, and what brushes and stuff.
Right.
So let's see that.
Well, that makes sense. They are, as far as like hobby paints, you can literally find them everywhere,
Right.
and usually in a pretty hefty stock. You know, so you can definitely get them and be able to replace them pretty easily, whatever you need. So, speaking of hobby shops, what's your local one that when allowed to go outside and walk, if you could walk to your local hobby shop, what's your local hobby shop called?
So I have two, and they're in various use. One is the game store I used to go to with actually Conrad, my partner, and I both bought Dungeons and Dragons 3.5
Okay.
from Days of Nights in Newark, Delaware.
Okay.
It's right on Main Street in campus at University of Delaware, which I went to. And that they're awesome. I actually just awkwardly ran by there the other day with a case of Heroes of Arcadia and just was like, "Hey, like I went to, I went here since because I don't go there as much anymore because
Right.
they're a board game store, um, but I also go to a place that sells comics and board games now,
Okay.
and so I dropped off a case. I was like, "Hey." I came here all the time in college. I stopped here a couple times since I moved back because I moved away from the area for a very long time, and I just moved back to the area recently.
Right.
And thought you'd like this. I think it'd do well at College Town. Hopefully, you can order more if it sells well. And I don't think they got a word out before I left. They're just like, "What? Here's my card. You can email me."
That
I was
is
on my way to
crazy.
somewhere else. I was just like, "Oh, they'll like it, I guess."
That's awesome. Who was that masked man?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, that was a it's not how you do business, but it's a start, But then I go to Showcase Comics in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, because I
Okay.
when I moved back to the area, I moved around a little bit since Think Geek times.
Hmm.
I moved to Media, Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, and Showcase Comics was where I started everything back up, my comic subscriptions and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and so he also has board games. He does a lot of. That's where I got into buying Flames of War.
Okay.
Because on Thursday nights they do like war game night,
Okay.
and I just stopped in. So it's a good therapeutic place. A lot of back issues, which I love comic stores that have back issues because it's just therapeutic to go through it and convince yourself to buy like again Johnny Quest, comics and old
Yeah.
like my comic collection is not a normal comic collection. It's like very weird off the wall stuff or like small miniseries collections that were licensed. So he has a lot
Okay.
of that stuff. And he's been a great advisor too on just like the retail side of things.
Sure.
Guy Mike who owns the location there.
Mm.
And so I also dropped off some games to him too as a thank
Nice.
you because he's the one who told me about a retailer pledge for Kickstarter and how to run it and things to do, things not to do, things he hates that people do, things that he wished more people did. And I was like, good, just tell me everything.
Nice.
I will try to appease.
So, what is currently in your pull list?
Um, the Star Wars series.
Okay.
I collect the action figure variant covers,
Nice.
and so it's now it's a little out of hand, but I have every single one, and I've done a lot of crazy things to get them. So that I'm keeping up. Doctor Afra,
Oh,
I like a lot.
what a
Um,
crazy character.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, my
Who,
wife, she's a Doctor Afra fan. So
who are, Dr. Afra has two droids, right?
yes,
That are like psychopathic.
yep, yeah, the C-3PO and the R2D2 psychopaths. Yes, um, I like it a lot. The Darth Vader series, I read a lot. Saga's back,
Okay.
so and Saga's been back for a little bit, but still, Saga's. I was waiting for a long time for that. Um, and that's I slimmed down a lot recently
Okay.
because I don't really have I have much time to read comics as I do painting minis. But um, I still have a lot of issues I haven't read, but I haven't been there a little bit, so I always feel bad.
Okay.
He's always, it's like I'll keep them for you. You just have to come in
Nice.
eventually.
Right.
What do you have on yours?
So I don't currently have a pull list for comics.
Okay.
I have been doing some hunting with a local friend of mine here in Michigan where we'll go out and pick up collections. And recently we picked up a collection of about
I was like, you
12,000
hunting deer? I'm like in the summer.
Yeah, yeah, sort of. But hunting the collections, right?
There you go.
And we picked up a collection of about 12,000 books. But
Oh
that
yeah,
was
because you buy. Yeah, you don't even need to have a pull list. You have so many books.
right.
Yeah,
And the collection we picked up was mostly gold and silver age comics, like a
that's
bunch of
awesome.
old crime stuff, like true crime. Um, bunch of a lot of Archie was in there, but that's expected, right?
Hey,
Because
well, all the people in the river down now.
yeah,
There you go.
absolutely. And then there's some good superhero stuff in there too, but a lot of romance comics. And what a lot of people don't realize is those old romance comics from the 40s and 50s are some of the first works of some of the most popular superhero artists were in those romance comics.
Really?
Yeah, so you might get
Are
some
they like
Jack
the
Kirby's.
Harlequins where like you have like the waves crashing in the back and there's like the really jacked dude like with this
Wavy
distraction.
hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, sort of like that.
nice.
Yeah. And then
This
there's also
1940 style.
1940s romance. Uh, like Kirby did some work in there.
Really?
Oh yeah. And then Stan Lee wrote a lot of those older romance comics as well. One of them's called Millie, and he's Millie is basically him writing about his relationship with his wife, which is just amazing.
Wow, I never knew he was such a softie.
Yeah. So finding a collection like that was super fun. And it's funny as I found it on TikTok.
Yeah, you said that before about my collection. I don't know if it's the same one, but that I'm
I
very
think it is. It's yeah. I was on TikTok and I was doom scrolling, and this all of a sudden there's this video of like my dad's comic book collection. We're looking to sell it, and now I reached out. I was like, "Where are you guys at?" Well, we're in Detroit. Oh, would love to come take a look at it. So 2 days later, went and looked at it. 2 days after that, went back and picked it up.
Oh yeah, this is the one. Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So yeah, I don't have pull lists anymore. I just have collection lists. Who's got the collection that I want to pick up?
Yeah, it saves time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran out of space for my dedicated comic area, so I'm gonna have to start. That's why I had to cancel a bunch of them, start purging.
Yeah. I think that's one of those classic conundrums we find ourselves in when we do have multiple fandoms, right?
Oh god, my whole basement is fandoms. Yes, I am the most boring room of my entire basement, but it still has all three 3D printers and my routers and all that stuff. So
Nice.
it's got enough prototyping stuff in here for forever. But yeah, hobbies are just too much fun. You just don't have enough time in the day,
Yeah.
I think it's I think mine is that it's um, the things you couldn't have when you were younger. You know, you
Right.
didn't have a job, or you did have a job, and I have two jobs always, but
Hmm.
you had to pay for a car, or you had to pay for everything else. So you didn't have. I bought magic cards. Like
Right.
every shift, I used to serve tables, and there was a comic book store or a card store next to it, and I used to serve
That's
the
dangerous.
well, the owner of the place used to come in, and he was a regular, and so I helped him out all the time, and so he'd come in and like, all right, you can get a booster for free if you buy two boosters. So I would do
Oh
that
wow.
every weekend, and
Nice.
that was great. That was I got a lot of really awesome cards from that I ended up selling a lot of those
Hmm.
when it was time to
Time,
prove
time,
my.
time to go to college.
Yeah, I kept a lot of them during college. It was my wife was not a fan of the amount of things I collect because
Ah.
I have a lot of collections. And so what I did is I sold some magic cards for her wedding ring,
Ooh.
and I bought her a pearl necklace for her 30th birthday using magic card money.
Oh, that is
So,
that
yeah,
is
it's
brilliant.
like, this is just a
Brilliant.
couple cards. Like this was just seven cards out of my entire like three shelves full of magic cards and like 30 something binders just packed. Like, that's
Nice.
just seven. Imagine what, these are. They're all like
Right.
10-cent cards.
Have you picked up any of the new Lord of the Rings magic cards?
I just did.
All right.
I don't know
Thoughts?
if I should I'm also like someone who's like, do I open the box? Do I not open the box?
Open the
I just saw
box.
that there was that super rare like one ring
Yeah, the
card
one
that
of
was
one
found. Yeah,
that has a bounty on it.
I know. That's what I'm
I think it's
saying.
up to $2 million.
Yeah. So
But I'll
yeah,
tell you this: that whole set, the artwork is phenomenal. It is like so beautiful. There's one where it has Frodo like reaching out to try to grab the ring as it's like floating in air, and it's got like this weird like fiery um, overtone to it. I want to find out who made that original art piece. If it's not digital, I'd like to have the original piece. It's that good.
The original. All right. Do you know anybody to talk to there?
Well, I do. I know who to talk to. But it's funny is there's a convention called a Lexicon.
Okay.
It's held in Pennsylvania.
Oh, really? Where?
I want to say it's in Lancaster, maybe.
No way.
I'm pretty sure it's in
Well,
Lancaster.
Lancaster's like one of my favorite. That's like my driving destination when I want to just get away. I just have to just go and just see a bunch of farms. Uh, I, let me know when that is. I'm totally joining.
And it's a convention that is literally for fantasy artists.
Oh, I had a friend from Hit Point Press let me know about that show.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's there. I'll double check. But do you know Seth Polanski by chance? I feel like I've introduced you to him. But anyways,
Or if I do know you, or I may.
he's an IP lawyer who works in our industry.
Yes,
He's
yes, I
one of
met him at Gamma.
yes, he's the one that also did the him and his wife and their business partner did the movie Eye of the Beholder, The Art of Dungeons and Dragons.
What? I didn't
Yeah,
get to that part.
and they're also just finishing up the Spark Magic the Gathering Spark documentary, basically the history of the Magic the Gathering game and the
What?
artwork behind it. And he goes every year because he represents the majority of the artists in the Magic the Gathering arena, and so he's always been hounding me to go. And now that this Lord of the Rings set is out, I'm like, I want to go pick it up. And then I saw this artwork, and I'm like, now I got to go to Lexicon because that's where a lot of these Magic the Gathering artists will bring their original artwork to sell. So
Well,
I'm
maybe
like,
that's when you
dag
can
nabbit,
come and visit Rollacrit headquarters,
in your basement.
my basement. No, we're a multi-million-dollar conglomerate.
It's so good.
People thought we were a very large company. I'm curious
Well,
to know.
I think that's one of the funny things that's the illusion of our industry, right? Is people think that all these game companies are these big Hasbro-esque, Mattel-esque companies when they are not.
No,
You've got when you've got something like Smirk and Dagger, right? That's just
I can't believe that. Yeah,
that's just freaking the owner. That's it's just
that's
him.
insane.
Yeah,
When I
Kurt.
found that out, yeah, he's the nicest guy on the planet. It's like
Yeah,
he doesn't have an inch of stress in his conversation with the amount of stuff I'm sure that's on his shoulders.
it's ridiculous. Every once in a while, his niece will give him a hand with like packaging something or something, but otherwise, it's just him.
Yeah,
And
and he just
there
did
are
it. He just won game of the year for Boot.
with Boop. Yep.
It's
Yeah.
unreal.
So yeah, it's crazy. And there's so many companies that are like that. I think the average publisher only has maybe 10 employees.
I think less than that for average
Yeah, around the average.
full
Majority,
time. Yeah, I mean it's
excuse me.
tough. It's really crazy
Yeah.
to see how much people can do and how much like effort you need to go into even doing any of this stuff. So that's why I do love this industry because a lot of fans do appreciate the amount of effort that goes into it.
Hmm.
We have what's good about at least our team is we have a lot of industry professionals or
Hmm.
industry vets that have been to the edge and back, and
Yep.
now we're in like startup mode and seeing everybody keep up. Because I mean, startup mode is just nuts.
Yeah.
There's no money we're just sitting on. Just like, well, we made a bunch of money doing this. Like, no,
Hmm.
that's gone.
Yeah.
Shipping's gone. The
Yeah.
shipping was $40,000 a container. Yeah, right.
Oof. Yeah, that definitely ate into any potential
Oh yeah,
markup you or profit
but it's
potential.
also too like a big thing to realize when you know no one knows who you are personally when you're
Right.
starting stuff, and so during the Kickstarter too, we it was always like, oh, are you even going to make this game and stuff like that. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, do you know who I am? Like, if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it.
Right.
I'll sell my house to make this game.
Right.
So, but it's like, yeah. And then you see perception because it's like, you have stuff professional, looking very dialed in and professional, and it's
Right.
it, it it's good. It's kind of dress for the job you want to have, and that's all
Hmm.
just impression. You be
Yeah.
driving the fanciest car in town and have live in your parents' basement, but you have the nicest car, so people think you're rich.
Right.
And so it's kind of it's great to know that there's a lot of just hobby passion out there that can look professional enough to be a multi-million dollar company. So,
Right. No, you're absolutely right. It's wild. The uh, another company that is one of those ones that you would be surprised at how small the staffing is like brother-wise. He got Chris and Johnny, and then I think they have their social media person and maybe one salesperson, so it's just the four of them, something like that. And again, they're killing it.
yeah, and sometimes that's
It's
all you
wild.
really need. If you have if you have good enough people,
Right.
you're not pumping out product nonstop.
Right. You've got, speaking of veterans, you've got a individual on your staff, or I don't know if exactly their position, that is old veteran. They used to work for Diamond Comic Distributors
That's
years
right.
ago, and now they work for you. And I want to say it's XLT. Um, they make these like statue cell phone holders or game
Yep.
controller holders. That guy, he's been around for like a century.
Right. Yep. John McGonigal.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. He has a lot of years of Arcadia to sell.
Nice. He needs to bust it out.
Yeah. Um, yeah. He's good. We worked with him a lot at Think Geek Days. I mean, a lot of it is pulling from the pool from Think Geek, and
Right.
that's kind of it. Is as they were waning, we felt very good at knowing that, like, hey, okay, well, don't miss Think Geek. We're here,
Right.
and as long as we keep assembling the same team as much as can, because even behind the scenes, our logistics guy, Think Geek, like,
Hmm.
there's a whole bunch of people that are just artists and people like that you know are maybe not even full-time people, but people we work
Right.
with, um, that are just trying to bring the old crew back,
Right.
and especially logistics you don't see, but he's insane. Josh Ham is one of the best logistics people I've ever dealt with ever, and if he says
Nice.
something's going to get there on time, it'll get there on time. If he says something's not going to get there on time, you pay. It's not going to get there on time, no matter how much you complain.
Right.
He's just amazing. And so, yeah, we have a really good team. I think we've always had a really good team put together. It's just
Hmm.
a lot of the challenges of starting in this either pandemic time or now post pandemic time,
Right.
has really been the biggest hurdle we have to figure out, forecast, and deal with, that I've never had to deal with before, because we this doesn't exist, and we it would have just been business as usual, if the pandemic never happened.
Right.
But it's interesting learning how to maneuver through all of these issues, um, with limited resources, and trying to make sure that you're around long enough,
Hmm.
to tell a story.
Well, you guys are definitely, crushing it in that regard. And, like you said, you've put together a rock star team that you have history with, so you definitely know the ins and outs of working together. And
Right.
I'm excited to see like the next chapter for you all, um, because you're in chapter one right now,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
I'm excited to see where it all leads and goes. And speaking of where it all leads and goes, Gen Con coming up in just about a month, a little less
That's
than a
right.
month.
That's right. Yeah. I will
Um,
be. Yeah. After this fun little painting thing, I'm going to be back into cramming numbers and soldering lights on the display cases, and you
nice.
know all the fun things that you wouldn't imagine that we actually do behind the scenes, but it's
Right.
That's why I like this. It's kind of cool to show, some behind the scenes stuff, because I don't think enough people want to hear it, but maybe they do,
Yeah,
and if they do, then we'll definitely talk about it.
yeah, and I think they do. I think people like to see a little bit behind the curtain, to know, especially the fans of the convention are going to want to know, like, what's the coolest things we're going to see this year.
Right.
Um,
Well,
what am
those
I
those
going
are,
to get?
yeah, a lot of that's a lot of, now we have like so many more things that we're bringing. This could be like
Hmm.
overload. But yeah, I think it's yeah. I mean, you're right. I definitely care. I think for me, I put my problem is a big reason I'm a collector and I buy a lot of stuff is just because, I'll see the passion in um, the artist or the person that, I know how much effort goes into every single thing that's made and how
Yeah.
hard it is to start a business, run a business, and hope that people see what you're doing and appreciate it. And so
Mhm.
I have a big heart for that. And love, I went to school for organizational leadership and public policy. Public policy part,
That's an
but,
actual degree path.
huh?
That's an actual degree path that you took.
Oh, yeah.
I That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, I mean, it was the Joe Biden school. No, it wasn't the Joe Biden school at the time, but it was. But it was great. It's kind of I went to performing arts high school and I wanted to start a studio doing making music videos and stuff and commercials like
Right.
videos for fast paced music based type of things because I
Okay.
like the creativity in there. When my robot dream wasn't really being fulfilled,
Dag
but
nabbit.
then like music videos died down and like videos weren't that big of a deal and it was 2008 and I graduated with like during the recession and so there wasn't really a lot of jobs you can pick and so I
Hmm.
kind of just went into marketing and now we see how important video is. It's kind of crazy that it's back to being one of the most important things
Right.
in industry, but it's also um, I think the leadership part what I'm trying to get to is that just to run a business and to have the drive every day to wake up and know that you are writing your own paycheck
Yeah.
and the harder you work like that you need to just keep going. You can't have a bad day, really. You have to just keep going, and so it's great to see artists. It's great to see, some of those smaller booths too of people just trying to build out their passions in this industry. And I
Yep.
feel like the fan base and why I like this fan base so much is that, you're right, they do care because they, they're here supporting those same businesses and you
Hmm.
find a passion for someone that you just, gravitate to if you really like their personality a lot. You'll even if the product's okay, like it's not
Yeah.
like something you need to buy, you'll buy it
Right.
because you like the person. And I like that's what this industry seems to be like. And so that's really cool. I think that that's one of the my favorite parts about it and why
Yeah.
I'll come back with an entire truck full of things because that's just how did you start out? Blah blah blah. They just get this whole big story, and I'm like, this is awesome. Like
Hmm.
what can I buy from you?
Right.
Buy
Oh,
everything and tell
it,
people about you.
it's also kind of interesting in this industry when you think about the difference between the board game convention and the board game industry versus other type of conventions. Like, I love going to Comic Cons. Don't get me wrong,
Right.
but there is a different energy at San Diego, New York, compared to like a Gen Con or a PAX Unplugged.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
it's so different,
In
and
the businesses as well.
yep.
It's there's it's it's, I've learned a lot getting into it. I thought it was very parallel. I thought the
Hmm.
industries were going to be very similar,
Right.
um, and it's really not. Um, it is,
No, it is
everyone
not.
plays video games. Everyone plays, people that play board games are not just like playing board games. They're also playing video games. They're also, light
Hmm.
pop culture stuff. So I thought that it would be the same world, but it seems much more supportive. And I know that,
Hmm.
there's obviously a stigma of like old gamers versus new gamers and all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, if you're, there's just people that just, it's kind of just grouping up any group of
Yeah.
people. It's, if you're with the right people,
Hmm.
they're going to help you out. Same with the robot community being so friendly. and helpful when you're like,
Right.
I'm not an engineer. And they're like, yeah, neither am I. I'm a mailman. Like, what?
Right.
How do you know how to wire up a droid? Like, well, because someone else taught me that had patience and
Yeah.
gave me the time. And so
Yeah.
now I'm going to pay that forward as well. And this is very much a pay that forward kind of industry as well. So I
Yeah.
think finding our comfort zone is definitely in the support here, and it's as long as you listen and care.
Hmm.
Um, you're not just looking out to chase a bunch of money.
Hmm.
Um, you need that obviously to survive, but that's not your
Yeah.
only focus. I think that all comes in time.
Yeah. I
Um,
I also feel like the thing about the board game space is like you've kind of hinted to it is they celebrate each other's successes very well.
yeah,
They don't get envious or anything. They're all just like they're happy for everybody's successes because they know every success in the industry is a success for the industry, right?
that's right. The
And I think
rising
that's
ship.
amazing.
Everyone keeps saying rising ship
Yeah, rising
or
tides.
rising tide. Rising
Yep,
tide raises all
yep,
ships. Yeah. Like when I
absolutely.
hear that, I'm like, hold on, what? Coming from the video game industry, I'm just like, is that just you just trying to get information from me, or is that
Right,
like do you
right.
really mean that? Because that
Exactly.
sounds awesome to me, but just don't know how other people actually how they are. I trust a lot of people, so
Yeah. And I think that is our industry though. When you see like Kurt at Smirk and Daggers, win with Boop for game of the year, and you're like, nobody's like bad talking it because they all agree it's a great game and deserving of the award. And because it's a success for the industry, it's a success for all of us,
right,
right? And I think other industries could really like take a page out of our book in that regard, and they could probably do a lot better if they did.
right, right. It's also the fans.
One
To me,
hundred
it's not
percent.
it's not in the business. It's really the fans are the ones that dictate what happens and the success and failures of companies.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that don't listen to them. We could always do a better job at saying we are listening because we are,
Hmm.
and that's why we, invest in community managers and things like that. It's a very important role to make sure that there's someone answering back. Because
Yeah.
as we're trying to get that tax ID numbers in Europe and solve where a missing shipping container is and all the fun stuff, we can't be in social all the time. You need to have someone that's like there looking and listening because it's
Right.
can't really be like, hold on, I'll answer this in a couple of days when I find this container that's only
Right. It's on
fifty
the
$50,000 worth of product of ours.
right. That's got to be one of the scary things. Oh, we've only got like 3 minutes left.
Oh, I didn't even know over time. I was like, are we just
Yep.
doing this all night?
Yep.
Because
No, we have 3 minutes left. So let's see where you're at.
I'm getting
Looking
the light
great.
on now.
Yeah, it's looking great. He's gonna be a slayer of all things.
I need to put the black on and then go through and then do the details. Yeah, I'd
And
love. Are you saying it's great because we're on video together
no, I'm
and
saying it's great because I know that you don't do a lot of painting, and the fact
oh,
that
look
I
at yours! You just yours is so fast.
well,
That's awesome.
it's just terrain. So terrain is, I think, some of the easiest things to paint. Actually,
Maybe I could be a train painter. Professional.
well, every game needs good terrain.
There you go.
That's true. Just want to say again, thank you to all our sponsors here at Path of the Brush, and also to our back end producers, Mark and Will, who've been in the background making sure the camera shots are doing well and that everything's going great. Obviously, in the beginning of the video, I messed everything up because I had Twitch on, and for some reason I couldn't mute it. Um, and thank you, Twitch, for providing us that entertainment in the beginning. Uh, but yeah, I'm really excited to see you again here in just a couple weeks at Gen Con. And you're going to get to meet Mark and his wife. They're coming out. And a buddy of mine who runs a convention, Jeff, is coming with me. And he runs a tabletop wargaming convention
Nice.
where Flames of War is played in tournament style.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah. Uh, So that'll be a lot of fun. Going to introduce him to all the players at Gen Con, to try to help build his convention up. as well. So it's like a
That's
mini
awesome.
Adepticon, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, Anything in the after hours that you're looking forward to at Gen Con? As one last little question.
Well, we actually are co-hosting a kind of party get-together thing that with Backer Kit and Hunters Entertainment at Nevermore. And so
Okay.
we'll have a Here's Barcadia sponsored bar from Thursday all the way till Saturday night, where you can play Here's Barcadia, test it out, demo it off the show floor, go and grab food, grab drinks.
Nice.
It's an awesome, huge bar restaurant.
Yeah.
And we have a bunch of events going on there and some fun things that are kind of off the show floor. So anytime I'm
Nice.
not on the show floor, I'll most likely be there.
All right. That's that new like geek tavern, right?
Was that?
Nevermore. Nevermore is like that new geek tavern that
Yeah,
they.
Geek Tavern. Yeah, exactly. They have like a bowling thing, they have pool there. There's a whole bunch of rooms and different environments
Nice.
everywhere. And so we have the giant beer hall that we're turning into a
Oh, that's awesome. And
Here's Barcadia bar.
for those that don't know, Hunters Entertainment is the company that brings you Kids on Bikes and Outbreak Undead and the
Alice is
new
missing.
Alice is
And they'll
Missing.
be launching was it
It's
Gods of
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok
Yeah,
at this
Gods of
yeah.
Ragnarok.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
this
and
is
that
their big Gods of Ragnarok party. We
yeah,
have, product we made for them too as well. So behind the
nice.
scenes, we try to do as much as we can for everybody else as well as what
Right.
we're doing for Gen Con. But we'll be there, so nevermore.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast. All right, everybody. Well, that's it for us. I'm your host, Rick, again, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody again next week when we have Dave Taylor from Dave Taylor Miniatures here. Yeah, super professional painter. He's gonna make me look horrible, which is
And me
perfect.
even worse.
He's amazing, and he's a good friend. We used to host a show together called Painting Happy Little Minis, but we are always going to support each other. So bring him on next week, and until then, I hope to see you at your friendly local game store.